IVM.
Hi everybody, just wanted to ask everyone for a quick favor. We're running a brand survey right now and would really appreciate it if you could let us know what you think about the advertising on IVM. Go to ivmpodcast.com/survey and do let us know. As part of this, we'll be selecting 10 random participants and sending them some IVM swag, so do fill out those surveys.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach. And today in the Habit Coach hot seat, we have Sakshi Oswal. Now, Sakshi's asked a very, very cute question. Okay, it's a small, tiny one, but I know it's a problem that all of us face, and I thought I'd take it up. She says, I get overwhelmed with habits and routine. Even if I try starting with just 2 or 3 at a time, I get FOMO. When will I finish all? Isn't that something that we all go through? You know, we all feel this FOMO of, oh my God, when will this end? When will this end? When will this end? When will this change take place? When will this change take place? I know so many of us that start and instantly starting, we believe that we should have actually reached somewhere. You know, it is like thinking that as soon as we hit or we start the engine on our car, we're going to hit our destination. Unfortunately, that is not how life works. You know, let's take the example of losing weight. Okay, that is something I know that 75% of are obsessed with. That's 75% of the questions that come in are all about weight loss. So let's think about that. The thing I keep telling people is that, you know, you've been doing all these habits, you've been doing all the nutrition and your exercise and all of that for the last, say, 1 month. And you're complaining that you haven't lost any weight, you haven't gone back to what you used to look like. Now, I keep telling them that, listen, it took you 7 years, 8 years to get to the situation where you are right now. Why do you think that is going to change overnight? You know, when we think about FOMO or when we think about hitting our goal, we become so obsessed with just that goal. I keep giving the analogy of trekking because, as you guys know, I am going on a high altitude trek recently. And when I started trekking, the first time we went out, it was so beautiful. You know, you get so caught up with the beauty of the world around you. But then there is this very hard aspect of actually walking from your first camp to your second camp and from your second camp to the third camp. And I remember this day so vividly. This was, I think, the third or fourth day of our trek when I was going to Everest Base Camp. And this was the first trek of my life. Okay, so I had never gone trekking before. I just bought my trekking shoes and I was on that journey. And we started off from the first camp, from camp number 3 or 4, and we were heading down the road. And we're walking and we're walking and we're walking. And by now it is, say, 11:30, 12. I'm getting hungry. I'm getting tired. We've been walking since 8 o'clock in the morning or maybe earlier. And where is that next campsite coming? It just seems impossible. So the person who I'm walking with, the troop leader, Samir, and we've had him on our podcast before, comes over, puts his hand around my shoulder, and then points at a roof in the distance. Distance means what? 4 mountains away. And he says, Ashdin, you see that? That is lunch. That is not our campsite. That is lunch. And now I'm thinking, oh my God, what is the point of all of this? Every single bad word that I could think of in my mind was either let loose or was just running around in my mind. And then I looked back at where we had started from, and I could see the village that we had started from. It looked so close, and that one looked so far. And it was that moment when I was like, what is the point of even being here? How am I ever going to reach there? And if you're a city kid, you are never used to seeing distances like this. 4 mountains away? Can you imagine as a city kid 4 mountains away walking? Impossible, right? So that impossible thought keeps coming. And like Sakshi says, this whole idea of FOMO, this feeling of overwhelmed comes in. And that's when you realize all you have to do is take one step, followed by the next step, followed by the next step, followed by the next step. And sure enough, within a few hours, that blue roof that was 4 mountains away was where I was sitting and having a big bowl of fried rice. So what this puts it in perspective, that when we look at the end result from where we are, it looks tremendously far away. And we have no control of that. That is the destination. Wishing it, hoping it, is not going to make it come closer. Like FOMO, fearing it, fear of missing out, fearing it is not going to make it come closer. Instead, what we have to do is you have to take one step, next step, next step. In this case, these steps are our habits. These steps are our routines. And there's a reason why I'm a habit coach and not a miracle coach. There's a reason why I'm a habit coach and not a magic coach. There's a reason why I'm a habit coach and not a motivational coach. Because a habit coach tells you that if you know where you're heading and if you know the right way of walking, the right steps you're taking, it's a guarantee that you will reach that destination. All you have to do is take one step, then the next step, then the next step, then the next step. So Sakshi, don't think about this as this feeling of overwhelm. Of course, because you're looking at the goal, there's a feeling of overwhelmed. But if you look at today, and if you look at the habit that you have to do today, there is no more feeling of overwhelmed. It's all going to go disappear. So start focusing on what you're doing today. Stop focusing on what is coming up tomorrow, day after, 1 month from now, 1 year from now. What are you doing today? And that's all. And every time you feel this feeling of overwhelm, feel this feeling of FOMO, come back and listen to this podcast. And it'll make you, or it'll put things in perspective. All you have to focus is on the habit and the routine that you're doing now. So if you want to be in the Habit Coach hot seat, just like Sakshi was, check out the link below in the podcast. Click on it and put in a nice description of what it is that you have as a question, and I'm going to answer it for you. Put in as much detail as you can, so that will help me give you a better answer. So see you on the Habit Coach hot seat. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME 180. That's Awesome 180.
Hey everybody, let me tell you a little bit about what happened on the IVM Podcast Network this week. On Cyrus Says, Cyrus was joined by Irfan Pabani, who is an old friend of his. They talk about the rich flavors of Indian food and Parsi food specifically. He was also joined by author and historian William Dalrymple. They discuss literature, history, and the culture of the Indian subcontinent. And let me give you a few quick things to check out. Chuck, aka Deepak Gopal Krishnan of Simplified and the Origin of Things fame, has Rohan Joshi, formerly of AIB, on his show. Also on this round is on me. Gautam Purohit of Thakur's Bhojnalaya was on the note. Maruk Inayat talks about the cabinet reshuffle. And do check out Global Victoria Tech Talks. We talk about the booming gaming and edutech industries in Australia. Do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram to keep up what's going on the network. And I'd like to finally thank our sponsors on the network this week, Cred, Ciet, and Global Victoria. Thank you so much for making this possible.
From uncensored and unfiltered chats with the who's who of the entertainment industry, I, Siddharth Kannan, bring you a very heartcake chat show called Candid Kannan. Tune in every Friday on the IVM Podcast app or wherever you get your podcasts.